we've been 10 years living in Israel, and in fact, next week, June 24th, it'll be 10 years since we made Aliyah. Left a country that is secure, that nobody can really attack from the outside, America, to a country that is virtually daily under the threat of being attacked from Syria, Egypt, whoever, Hezbollah, Hamas. And right now we're heading up to the Golan Heights, where Jewish communities and Arab communities are under the threat of attack from the Syrian army, the Iranian army, Hezbollah that is now joined with the Syrian army against the rebels. And it's a little scary. And we thought we wanted to take the media team, head up there and see what the situation is up there. So come with us. After a few hours, we made it to Ramat HaGolan, the Golan Heights. After enjoying lunch with my daughter who serves there and spending some time with some soldiers, we ascended Mount Bental. Mount Bental overlooks the valley of Cantor into Syria. Much of the Syrian rebel fighting has been in this area, right next to the border. In fact, when we were there, we saw massive billows of smoke that were most likely from shelling. Looking at the Syrian-Israeli border tells you all you need to know about the different cultures. On the Israeli side, everything is plush and green, but on the Syrian side, it appeared to be a barren wasteland. The Golan Heights is an immense hilly plateau in northern Israel. It borders Syria, Jordan, and Lebanon. Its average height is about 3,500 feet. Its highest point is on Mount Hermon, which tops at 9,000 feet. When Syria controlled this region, they used the highland to rain terror on Israel's Galilee communities, shelling them with rockets. Syrian attacks grew more frequent in 1965 and 1966. Often, Israeli children would have to sleep in bomb shelters. Syria also sought to divert water from entering the Sea of Galilee, Israel's main supply of drinking water. This, in and of itself, was an act of war. Having had enough, Israel defended itself in the Six-Day War of 1967, fighting literally an uphill battle. Israeli tanks stormed the Golan Heights and fought a bloody, intense war. Israeli casualties reached 115 in just a few days, while Syrian casualties reached 2,500. In the end, Israel took control of the highlands. It is important to note that just a few days later, Prime Minister Levi Eshkol and his cabinet voted to return the Golan Heights to Syria in exchange for a true peace with the Arab nation. Disgraced in the war, Syria took this as a further humiliation and rejected the olive branch. In 1973, as the entire country of Israel was fasting for Yom Kippur, an Arab world still humiliated from the Six-Day War attacked Israel again. The surprise attack caught the Jewish nation off guard. My wife remembers her brother being called out of the synagogue to report for duty, along with tens of thousands of other soldiers and reservists. Initial gains by Syria proved to be fleeting. By the end of the short war, Israeli shells were nearly reaching Damascus. Israeli troops pushed 20 kilometers inside of Syria. Several attempts from Syria to retake this land were rebuffed by Israel. Finally, in May 1974, Israel and Syria signed a separation of forces agreement. Israel agreed to pull back to the Golan Heights, and Syria was allowed to reoccupy areas lost in the Yom Kippur War. Again, just to be clear, Israel did not relinquish the Golan Heights, just the areas gained in 1973. There would be a demilitarized zone in between the two countries that would be maintained by UN peacekeepers. Amazingly, this had been Israel's quietest border until the Syrian civil war broke out over 2 years ago. Recently, some UN troops began pulling out of the buffer zone after Syrian rebels briefly overtook the border crossing at Cantor. From my vantage point the other day, high on Mount Bental, I could see the UN outpost where rebel forces kidnapped 21 unarmed UN Filipino peacekeepers. New Cantor has been the scene of several bloody battles in recent months. Syria abandoned Old Cantor after Israel returned the land in 1974 and simply built a new city close by. Old Cantor, a ghost town, now serves as a reminder that Israel, while desiring peace with her neighbors, is willing to defend ourselves against attack. After an exhausting day in near 100-degree weather, we headed back to the safety of Tel Aviv, a good 2 hours away from the deadly war.